You know, my dudes, these early episodes of Supernatural are rad. Part of the reason I think I enjoy them so much more than later episodes of Supernatural is because time of recording, we've just come out of a time of superhero content being milked for all it's worth. And I feel like these early episodes are a lot more akin to something like The X-Files or The Twilight Zone than they are something like Flash or Arrow, which later episodes would kind of become. With that being said, the episode we're talking about today, it's pretty good. I like this one. Welcome to the Eccentric Academy. I'm Cademan David, or as Black Clouds of Smoke might call me, Mr. Cow. I'm your professor of this class in science fiction and nerdery. For today's lecture, we will be taking a look at the supernatural film, The Phantom Traveler. Side note, that's a great title. This episode is one that the show wants you to forget. Besides Dean's dislike of flying, which is mentioned a fair amount later on every once in a while, so they're fine with you remembering that part. No, the reason the show wants you to forget this episode is because almost everything they say about the way demons work in this episode, the later episodes of the show will ignore.
I mean, demons, they don't want anything, just death and destruction for its own sake.
Who is it possessing?
Well, it's usually going to be somebody with some sort of weakness, a chink in the armor that the demon can worm through. Somebody with an addiction or some sort of emotional distress.
I think we can go more subtle. If she's possessed, she'll flinch at the name of God.
Huh, nice.
I help you're panicked, you're wide open to demonic possession, so you need to calm yourself down right now.
Which I think is a little bit unfortunate, because I actually quite enjoy the way this episode presents demons, as opposed to later episodes where they became more and more just kind of people, which is disappointing. The demon possesses an airplane in this episode.
Where'd it go? It's in the plane. Hurry up, we gotta finish it.
I don't ever see demons do anything like that later on in the show. So, most likely, part of the reason I said in the beginning that this episode reminds me more of an episode of The Twilight Zone is because it takes place on an airplane. And whenever I think of episodes of shows that take place on airplane, I think of maybe one of the most famous episodes of The Twilight Zone, entitled Kirk's on an Airplane, and there's a man in a gorilla suit on the wing. Maybe that's not what it's called. Did you know I like Star Trek? With that being said, I really enjoy the third act of this episode in which Sam and Dean are actually on the airplane. I think that part is very fun. But The Twilight Zone is not the only show that this episode reminds me of. I feel as though this episode also has Lost vibes. Of course, Lost being about a plane crash. In this episode, the bad guy wants a plane to crash. And Lost has a black smoke monster. This episode, the monster is black smoke. Leave a comment below if you want me to review Lost. Now, one negative about this episode is there's a couple instances of what Brandon Sanderson calls butler and maid dialogue.
be careful about maid and butler dialogue. This is kind of a term we borrow from the stage world, where you would have the maid and butler come on the start of a play and be like, as you know, the lady is away for the weekend, and the other's like, yes, and as you know, the master now will go golfing because she hates his golfing habit.
There's a couple scenes where Sam and Dean are talking to each other, and one of them will say, this thing that the audience needs to know for the story to work. And then the other one says, I'm not dumb, I know that.
What is that?
It's an EMF meter. Reads electromagnetic frequencies.
Yeah, I know what an EMF meter is, but I think we can go more subtle. If she's possessed, she'll flinch at the name of God.
Nice. Hey, what?
Say it in Latin.
I know. Hey, what?
In Latin, it's Christo.
Dude, I know, I'm not an idiot.
And those scenes are a little cheesy, but overall, I enjoyed the episode. But did you like the episode? I'd love to hear about that in the comments section. So that being said, I would love to hear your thoughts as well. But that's all we have time for today. So, class dismissed. Farewell, and don't get possessed. Bye!